In today's video, I'm covering 1 month's worth of usage with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. We'll go over the things that worked, didn't work, and just flat out questionable decisions. This is David with Side of Tech, your casual nerd. Let's go ahead and check it out. With the introduction of the iPhone 16 Pro Max, surprisingly there aren't much changes this year. Sadly, a new common thing with the new iPhones. Even with that being said, we still do have some brand new stuff. Let's see what actually changed this year. First off, we have the new 48 megapixel ultra wide camera, arguably my favorite lens. The new boost in megapixels is especially noticeable on the ultra wide. With it capturing so much more of the image, this boost is more than welcome. We get that and also a 4K 120 frames per second mode, and that's what I'm talking about. With the Galaxy S24 gaining that feature, I'm really glad that Apple is competing in that space. Now that we have 4K 120 in ProRes, it makes rigging up your iPhone even more fun since you will be needing an SSD drive. I put together this simple rig. It includes the Andar leather case. Not only is this one of the best leather cases out right now, it gives me full protection and full use of the camera control button. The SSD drive I'm using is a 1TB Samsung T7. It's lightning fast and gives me more than enough storage for the iPhone. Putting it all together is the Sandmark film rig, which is perfect for all other types of attachments that I plan to do in the future. With this setup, I got to test out the camera to its full effect, going outdoors and filming a climbing event. It got me to test out the newest feature on the iPhone 16, the camera control. I'll cover this button more in depth in a little bit, but in short, this is just a new button that Apple added, and it can control most of the functions that your camera app has, from zoom to exposure and other features. It's Apple's newest addition. We also have a bigger battery. Apple claims it's up to 33 hours of video recording, so that's about a 6% increase from last year's iPhone 15 Pro Max. Since I had the regular 15 Pro last year, jumping up to the Max, I'm gonna notice that battery life. But either way, battery increases are always good. Another cool feature is that we can charge our iPhones up to 25 watts using MagSafe. This really does come in handy in a pinch and is really useful for those MagSafe users like myself. The last new feature this year is a small one, but we now have a bigger screen resolution. It's slightly noticeable, but to the naked eye, you won't really notice the difference. And that's all the new features that are included in this year's iPhone. It's honestly not much, and it does make me question, what was Apple thinking? So onto the real problems that I have with this phone. Number one being the Apple AI. I've been a huge fan of Apple for such a long time and I can't really see myself using any other kind of phone. Call me an Apple fanboy all you guys want, but I like what I like. But even I have a problem with how they're rolling out this Apple AI and how they advertised it that it was going to be one of the main features of this phone while still being on the older iPhone 15 Pro. Yeah, even that kind of took me by surprise. So with that being said, if you have an iPhone 15 Pro and you're considering this upgrade, in my opinion, why you would really even upgrade is just for the camera itself. And also if you're into the camera control, we'll get into that later. And it's not like Apple AI is gonna come out all at once. It's gonna be a rollout feature, meaning that it's gonna come in different waves. So as far as making this video, if you have update 18.1, you're gonna get a few features like the cleanup feature, which is really awesome on the Photos app, the notification and app summaries, suggested replies and proofreading, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And me being part of the public beta, I've experienced a lot of these features already. And although what we got is really nice, I really want to start using the Genmojis and the overhauled Siri that they've been hyping up so much. It really does suck that Apple did this and is doing stuff this kind of way, advertising a whole feature and rolling it out. That's really like the most Apple thing I can think of. But the other problem that I had is only exclusive to this phone, and that's the camera control. So when this thing works, it's really awesome and it gives you an easier way to control your camera. And for those who don't know about the camera app, and in my opinion, I feel like that thing is a cluttered mess. You really do forget where certain things are if you don't use the app too much. But this is where the camera control comes in clutch, because all you'll have to do is remember this button. I like to think of it as a centralized hub where all the camera functions are. But that being said, do we really need it? Not really. It adds another button onto the chassis of the iPhone, which makes it not as ergonomic as before. I constantly press this button whenever I'm I'm handling the phone or whenever I'm picking it up from a table. Thankfully, I have really awesome viewers and they suggested for me to add the double click feature. But to me, that's so funny and it's so telling because you know that Apple experimented with this and probably experienced the same thing. Guys, I really wanted to like this thing so much, and I think a lot of other people who reviewed this phone did too. And the last negative that I want to talk about is the overall form factor of this phone. So don't get me wrong, I really do like this form factor. The squared off look is still really great, but it's just too much of the same that we've had for the last few years now. I'm not gonna lie, whenever I do see these new Android phones that are rolling out, I do get kind of jealous because their designs are just beautiful. All iPhone users really do get is just new colorways, and I don't know, in my opinion, that's not really winning over anybody. But in the end, do these problems really affect you if you get this phone? I don't really think so, which is kind of good because not one thing of this phone is broken in that sense, but there's also not much new. And for those deciding to upgrade, I don't think that's a really good sign. So you guys, it's not all doom and gloom, because even though if this is the same form factor of this phone, this is the most perfect version of this kind of form factor. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be really sad when this style does go away. Also, I do have to say that the battery life on this phone is just spectacular. This max version lasts me at least a day and a half. I run YouTube on here all day. As you can see, YouTube is taking up a substantial amount of time here. But realistically, if you just use your phone and you're an average user, I think the battery life can last even longer. The next positive that I can say about this phone, and I really do mean that this is a positive, the camera this year is just spectacular. I'm not gonna BS you guys, all the other years that I've used this camera, I myself don't really like to use it too often. I usually just use it for Instagram stories and just smaller content like that. We finally have the 48 megapixel ultra wide lens. To me, it's just perfect for capturing all kind of content, especially for content creation. And also using 4K 120 is just absolutely nuts on an iPhone. And I really did things to test out this camera, like different lighting conditions. I went to a climbing event where they had a bunch of people moving around quickly, and especially at that event because I shot everything at 4K 120. Like seriously, look at these two clips from my Canon R5 and from the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and just tell me which one is the 4K 120 from each one. For something that just comes out of your pocket, this is mind-blowing because all those video ops that you have, you don't get to miss any one of them for the lack of having a full frame camera. So I've been testing the iPhone with this sandmark cage that I have here. So this will just kind of clip on to here, and you can use your iPhone like you would your full frame camera. And you have a very legit rig that can shoot a lot of stuff. I really had a fun time using this. But let's say all you have is enough money for just the phone and not a full frame camera. This is a perfect option, and for content creators, I feel like the iPhone 16 Pro or Pro Max will be perfect for you guys. But I just do want to reiterate, this will not replace your full frame camera. Overall, this phone does have a good amount of positives and a good amount of positive additions to it. That being said, I think I'm ready to talk about my final verdict. Alright, and now on to the final verdict. And if you guys don't know my ratings, it's buy at full price, try it out, wait for a sale, or pass. So for new owners who are upgrading from an iPhone 14 Pro and below, this is gonna be a wait for a sale. And for those who had the iPhone 15 Pro last year, I suggest that you pass on this phone. As far as the upgraders go, there is extreme value in this phone. Amazing camera, battery life, but I think waiting for a sale around the holiday season is a perfect time to pick up this phone. And as far as people who already have the 15, there's not too much value here on this phone unless you're like a content creator or a heavy user of the camera. All in all, it's still a great phone, but not worth upgrading to, in my opinion, unless you own a really old iPhone. If you guys are looking for cases for your iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max, check out my case video. I feature a ton of awesome options, just like this Andar case here. Thank you for watching. This is David serving you a little side of tech, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless you guys.